Hi, my name is Diego, and in this video I would like to give you your first piano lesson. For us here at the Hit Music Studio, it's very important that our students start with a great foundation. So we're putting this video together so you guys have an idea of the basic concepts of how to get started on playing the piano. Let's go to a close-up so we can get started. So I like to start by talking about the finger numbers. So if you look there at my hand, this is going to be finger 1, which is the thumb. Then we're going to go out from there for finger 2, 3, 4, and 5. So both thumbs would be your finger 1, and then both pinkies would be your finger 5. And one thing that is important about this is the same all over the world. So I think it's important to try to memorize those numbers, because at the beginning we're going to use those numbers to show you a couple of things that you're going to be playing. So if I, let's say, put my hand there and point to a finger and I go like, what number is this finger? You should know that that's finger 2. What number is this finger? That will be finger 5. So again, the same finger would have the same number starting from 1 with the thumbs and then pinkies on 5. So we're going to use those first ones to start playing groups of 3 black notes. If you look at the piano has a group of 3 black keys almost together, and then another group of 2, and then another group of 3, and then another group of 2. So one of the first exercises that we can do is put your hand on a group of 3 with both hands, right hand and left hand, and we can start with the right hand, maybe playing your finger 2 4 times. So you can do 2, then finger 3 4 times, then finger 4 4 times. Now let's do the same thing with the left hand, finger 2, finger 3, and finger 4. One thing that is important when you're playing piano, at the beginning I think we try to really put emphasis on playing steady. So you don't want to do this. You want to try to play very constant, almost think that you're walking, think of a machine. So you want to go constant and slowly, because that's going to give you a lot better control. So at the beginning you don't want to play in almost like spikes of notes, in like one note faster than the other. You want to try to make it as even as possible. Now the next thing that I like to show people is the basics of how to place your hand. When you place your hand, one thing that you definitely want to do is have your fingers curled. So if you look in that shot, you're looking at my hand and you can probably not see my nails. Now if I put my fingers like this, completely flat, it's a lot harder to control if you play this way. So it's a lot more uncomfortable, and our hand is designed to almost have a better grip if your fingers are curled. So I tell my students, imagine that you're gonna scratch the keys with your nails. That is the best position to play piano. Now also you can think like if you had a little, let's say, bubble or ball under the palm of your hand. That way when you're putting your palm down on the keyboard, you're gonna leave a little bit of a space. So you don't want to collapse your hand and put it like flat on the keyboard. You want to definitely try to keep your hand curled. That is gonna help you, and that's gonna give you a better foundation. So definitely don't probably ever put your fingers completely flat. It doesn't really help. And I think younger students tend to forget this, so it's good to remind them, but always fingers curled. That's gonna help you, and that's the same position for both hands. Another useful tip is to don't let your fingers come up when they're not playing. So if I play 5 notes, when I'm done with, let's say, my thumb and my finger 2, I try not to bring the fingers up in space. You want to keep them down close to the keys. Sometimes I tell my students, imagine that you have a glue on the tips of your fingers and they're actually glued. That way when you push, when you're not pushing, the finger can come up. That I see a lot with younger students, that they want to lift or even remove the fingers and have them dangling in space. And that I think truly complicates things. So fingers always down, always towards the keyboard, preferably touching the keys. And especially if a finger is not playing, we don't let it lift, we keep it down. So next I like to talk about quarter notes and half notes. Now what is a quarter note? I tell people, if you're walking, a quarter note is 1 step. So when we walk, we tend to walk steady. And if I'm moving my feet here on the floor, you can go 1 step at a time. Now, if you're taking your time, the song or your walk can take a little bit and you can go slowly, but the notes or steps should be even. Now, if a song is faster or you're in a hurry, you're gonna go a little faster. So always think of quarter notes as steps. If you're walking, try to make them even. You don't wanna practice this way if all of the notes are quarter notes. because then it makes it very uneven and it's pretty hard to fix that once you learn something that way. So always quarter notes, think of them as very steady. It doesn't matter if they're with the left hand or the right hand, very steady. You can even tap your foot on the floor as a way to try to keep track of them, which may help. And now the other thing that we like to mention is half notes. A half note is going to be white on the inside, it's going to have a stick. Now when a note is white on the inside, we're going to hold it for 2 counts or 2 steps. So you want to count 1, 2 and let it go. Now, one thing that I like to tell my students, if you are going to count out loud, try to count when you push. So it's going to be 1, 2. Don't push 1, 2, and then count, because you're going to make that note actually longer than it needs to be. So in the first lesson, we would like for you to be clear about quarter notes and half notes and make a difference when you're seeing them on the paper. So if you're playing a quarter note, short and steady, 1 at a time, you can tap your foot on the floor. And if you're playing 2, try to tap twice and hold it 1, 2 and let it go. So that difference is very important when you're trying to play at the beginning. One of the main things we don't need perfection. We don't need the notes to be perfect, but we need them different. So quarter notes and half notes should not sound the same. Another important thing is to try to find your way through the keyboard. So if you look at a group of 2 black notes and then a group of 3 black notes, the keyboard is symmetrical, which means that it has a pattern that repeats. Now, always to the left of 2 black keys, on the left side, the key is going to be a C. When you have a group of 3 black notes, you're going to have an F. So what happens in music is we have the alphabet from A to G, and then it repeats again. So we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it would start again on an A. Depends on how many keys your keyboard has, it would start maybe on different places. But what's important for us is that slowly you get to memorize that to the left of 2 black notes, we have a C. To the left of 3 black notes, you have an F. And then if you're trying to find a note, you can go from the one that you know what it is. For example, like if this is F, then the next one will be G, the next one will be A. And of course, we're talking about the white keys. So at the beginning of playing piano, one of the things that we have is called C position. C position is going to be 5 fingers on the left hand, starting on C. So C, D, E, F, G. And then move to the right, another group of 5 notes, C, D, G. And what's important about this position, which is technically used a lot in, I guess, in music education, is to get your hands in the correct placement, and we're not going to move them sideways. Your hands are going to stay in one place, because part of what we're trying to do at the beginning is just get you to react to notes and to know where your hands are. So definitely when you play, try never to do this and use one finger to play a bunch of different notes, and try not to move your hand when you're playing, because then it's gonna almost fall out of position and it's gonna make it harder to play. So always your hands in position if we are playing in what we call C position, and try to keep your fingers again curled and without moving sideways. Another key aspect that I like to mention is when we play keys, you want to play the key on the outside of the key, on the part closest to you. So let's say if you're playing this key, you want to play it there at the end and not here. So one thing that I see with students sometimes is they want to put their fingers very much on the inside of the piano. In a real piano, this is very important, because the keys are done in a way that you really need to play on the outside because of how the mechanism works. And even a keyboard, I think it becomes a lot easier to be on the outside. So hopefully, students, if you have a student that is young with us, don't let them play all the way on the inside, because that can create all sorts of like little problems, because they may almost get in the way with the black keys. Okay, and I'm gonna finish here by showing you a simple exercise in C position. So C position, I like to, even if your hand is not playing, let's say the left hand is not playing right now, still have it in position, because as a piano player, you don't want, if one hand is not playing, to take it off the keyboard. It's better to keep them on the keyboard, that way they're ready to play. So what I want you to do is this: you're gonna play 4 times each letter, starting from C, going all the way to G, very steady in quarter notes. So it's gonna be C 4 times, then D. Now you can go slower if you want to. E 4 times, F 4 times, and G 4 times. And then we're going to do the same thing with the left hand. C 4 times, then D, then E, then F, and lastly G 4 times. So we want to thank you for watching. Remember, we have a main YouTube channel under the Hit Music Studio in which we are always trying to put content to help you guys to go faster and the easiest way possible in your process of learning how to play. So we hope to see you guys very soon. Take care.